What is up, everyone? My name is Joe Riga, and you're about to listen to episode number 16 of the Third Floor Chronicles. This week's special guest, Mr. Ian Bagg. I was definitely looking forward to this interview. I had the luxury of working with Ian all weekend at the Improv, and I knew it was going to be an awesome interview because he's such a masterful crowd work comic, probably one of the best crowd work comics I've ever seen before. So I knew it was going to be a good interview. I knew it, and it was a good interview. And it was actually pretty long, too, for us, because most of our interviews, they're like 10, 15 minutes. Occasionally, you get a 20 or 25 minute. But this was like 30, 35 minutes. So I was very excited about it. Unfortunately, the digital recorder, not so excited about it, because about 15 minutes into it, the batteries decided to just keel over and have a heart attack or whatever they do to die. But they died, So rest in peace, batteries. You interview ruiners. Matter of fact, don't rest in peace. Rest in annoyance, you jerks. So anyways, I wanted to give you the heads up because the interview cuts off in kind of a weird spot. Not a traditional, normal ending for the show. So I want to give you a heads up and apologize at the same time because we're learning together, guys. It's just a big learning lesson for us all. I learned a lesson when I put the recorder down in the room. I'm going to keep my eye on it because before I hit record and I just trust it to do its job. But no, not anymore. I do not trust this guy. So now I'll hit record and I'll keep one eye on him and one eye awkwardly on the comic. So once again, Ian Bagg, September 18th, episode number 16. Here we go. All right, Ian, can you please describe your first stand-up performance?
My first stand-up performance. It was on an open mic in Vancouver, British Columbia, at a place called Punchlines, and it was during a contest. And I had prepared a bunch of jokes, and I wrote them on my hand, on the inside of my hand, so I could read them while I was on stage, and I was so nervous I sweated them off. And I actually had a drink before I went on. I had a thing called a Prairie Fire, which is tequila and Tabasco sauce. And I did that shot, and I had no jokes. They'd all sweated off, so I had to make stuff up. So I just made stuff up on the spot, and it kind of worked out for me, and it kind of sent me on my little merry way, and that's always kind of been the way it has been.
So is that where the improv skills maybe started?
Yeah, I guess so.
How did you prepare for that? Were you thinking about doing the open mic for a couple weeks before you did it? Or
I'd been thinking about it for years. I'd wanted to do comedy since I was about 15. So
what made you not do it?
Like anybody, just that first time. The first step is the largest step, as they say, so.
Did you have any friends or anything kind of do it with you, or just by
No,
yourself?
I actually grew up in a little Indian village north of Vancouver by about 1,000 miles, and I actually had moved to Vancouver to do it. So I was going to go to school to become a blasting engineer, and before I started to go to school, I decided that I had to try being a stand-up, and just kind of worked out.
Well, how did you first, I know you sweated through your set list, but how did your first experience go?
I can't tell you. I have no idea. I guess, you know what, who knows how it went, but I do know that I was addicted from the moment I did it.
How quickly did you go back on after that?
I went the next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Your first year, was it just pretty much all open mics and stuff?
Yeah.
How often were you trying to get on stage that first year?
Once a week, and then I was trying to get on, because that's all there was. There was only the one club in Vancouver, and you get on once a week. And then I started getting 2 nights there, and every so often getting spots there, and it just kind of took off. By the second year, they were kind of making me middle and MC, and
You were featuring your second year.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And honestly, in Canada, it's more tough. The harder spot is the MC. That's who they respect more out there, I think it makes a show stronger, like when there's a really strong act as an MC. So,
when was
as it was this week.
Yeah. Who was the first person you worked with, maybe featuring or hosting for, that you looked up to maybe as a young comic?
The first guy that I really enjoyed. These guys used to come up from, like, headliners. Why? I remember these guys. Mark Roberts used to come to the Punchline, and Mark Pitta, these San Francisco guys, and LA guys, and Howie Mandel came one time, and I loved Howie Mandel, and Who else came? Oh, Drake Sather.
Was this Howie Mandel with the rubber glove back then?
Yeah, back then. He still had
Okay.
hair back then.
Nice.
He was, yeah. I don't. His show wasn't on anymore. He was on I don't know what show he was on, but yeah, Drake Sather was the big one that made me laugh the most. He was really funny. If you look up Drake Sather, he's actually sadly he's passed away, but he was fucking brilliant.
Did you have a specific writing process at the beginning that maybe worked
I used to
for you?
sit down and write every day.
Like a designated time? Like
Yeah, I would just sit down and write, and I'd like just like when you're a kid and you're studying, you just like be blank, tap 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 with the pen, and oh, I'll write about this. Oh, I'll write about this, and I think it was really noticeable when I write like that. I think it's really, for me, it seems almost contrived. So that I don't write like that anymore. Now what I do is I'll take on stage, I'll take a subject, and I'll go through a subject, just a subject, and see what people respond to the most, what I connect with them the most, and then out of the bits that I connect with them the most, I drop the other stuff, and then I go back with the stuff that I connect, and I try to see what else I can find.
So basically, you do most of your writing on stage.
Yeah.
Just kind of work.
Well, my ideas I just get off stage and then finish it on stage.
What were some of the things you needed to work on as a comic when you made the transition maybe from host to feature? Like, was there anything like, oh man, I really need to get this down before I could take it to the next level?
I guess from a host to a feature, because I started in Canada, was different. So it was, I don't know, because the feature spot was a shorter set up there, and the MC spot was bigger. And that's really how I got to work on doing crowd work, because when you have a long set as an MC, you can get to know the crowd more. You, as a host, you get to welcome to your show. You can make it your show. Like, you're sure there's a headliner, but basically you're allowing that headliner to be part of you've invited that headliner into your house, is basically.
So you were actually doing more time as an MC than
Yeah.
a feature?
I think an MC in Canada does 30 minutes off the top.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think the middle does 20, and then the headliner does whatever he's going to do.
Okay. And did you move from Vancouver to New York? Was that your
Yeah,
first season in the
I went
States?
from Vancouver to New York, and then New York to LA.
How long were you contemplating moving before you actually did it?
To New York?
Yeah.
Never even thought about it.
Really?
I went to Montreal Comedy Festival about 3 or 4 years after I started, probably 3, and I had worked across Canada for the whole summer, and then ended up at the Montreal Comedy Festival and was broke by the end of it. Some guy seen me. His name was Lucian Hold. He was one of the owners of the comic strip. He invited me to come down to New York if I was ever there, and he would give me spots. Well, I was broke, and I hitchhiked all the way back to Vancouver, and I was living with a girl at the time, and she broke up with me and kicked me out. So guess who went to New York? I had nothing else to do, so I went to New York, and I never went home. I was actually a legal immigrant for about 7 months.
How did you handle the transition in culture and the comedy? Was it overwhelming for you?
It was overwhelming. Yeah, slap in the face. I knew I was going to be there as soon as I when I got off the train. I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable here. This is where I should be. And I was there for about 5 or 6 years. But I remember going on stage and just bombing. Don't care about you being Canadian. I remember that. I used to talk about being Canadian. I'm like, don't care. And like, try to connect with it. You're just like, I don't connect with these people at all. I gotta figure out what goes on in New York. And I was nice enough that guy, Lucian Hold, just kind of would give me these spots, and I would just keep doing them. I was living in a youth hostel, and it was really fun. It was.
Were you getting a lot of stage time? Were you just hitting stage
Yeah,
every night?
every night I was getting stage time, and then it was good stage time, but it wasn't the best. I remember I would get the check spot, and on the shows would be like Dave Attell, Ray Romano, Chris Rock would be on the show sometime. Dave Chappelle, who else? Red Johnny the Round guy. Jeff Ross would be on him all the time, and just like monster
And you're
comics.
following them?
You're following them and going to the check spot and just having your ass handed to you. So.
How big was the difference in just your peers, the comic peers around you, going from Vancouver to New York? Was it just...
I was just...
starting from the bottom, basically, again?
I started from the bottom again, but, it's big fish in a little pond. And, I know when I say this, I know but those smaller markets are not where the game is. Like, honestly, you're not in the game unless you're in a big market like New York or LA.
Was your family real supportive of the move?
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah,
have they always been supportive of your comedy?
Yeah, my mom was an Australian and has traveled her whole life, so she's like always been go out and see the world, however you do it. So
cool. When you're on stage, you're pretty much known as one of the best crowd work comics in
the best. Go round, go to baby down.
When you're on stage, are you, in the back of your mind, are you analyzing maybe who you can do some crowd work with versus maybe this guy's probably not in the mood for some crowd work, it's probably not going to go well, or do you just kind of rapid fire?
I just kind of talk to whoever I feel like talk, which is funny because you say that. Sometimes when somebody wants to talk to me, I don't. That's too easy, you know what I mean? If they don't, when they don't want to talk to me is when you really,
got it.
You know, and you're really like, oh, this could be interesting. Why don't they want to talk to me? Because they might say something stupid.
Well, now that you got your crowd work down, I'm assuming at the beginning it wasn't that smooth. Did you have a lot of rough outings with the crowd work? Maybe your first couple of years trying to mess with it.
Mm-hmm. Like anything, you know, I always enjoyed it. I used to work. Like, it worked for me immediately, but it was like learning to fly a plane and figuring out the rough air and how to stay away from it.
Helps you give it a lot more time too when you first. If you got 45 minutes to fill and you know you can do 20 minutes of crowd work, that's got.
It's funny because for a while I had a lot of club owners were like, "No, don't do that. Doesn't work." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I do."
Like they didn't like you doing crowd work.
Mm-hmm. I had club owners tell me not to do crowd work, and I remember thinking, "Why'd you fucking hire me?"
Yeah, I don't think no.
Tool shed.
Were you ever part of an improv group?
You know what? I was in a sketch group in New York.
How'd you like it?
It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Just a bunch of buddies. It was actually me, Tom Papa, Kyle Dunnigan. Who else was in that? There's a couple of us.
What were you guys called?
We were called the Milk Duds.
They always have great names. By the way.
Yeah.
Tell us about how did your first Conan appearance come up? How did Conan O'Brien show? How did that even make its way into your world?
I happened to be doing the spot at the comedy club in New York. And they came in to see some other people, and I went on right before they seen the other people, and they noticed me, and they said, "We want to book you," and I said, "I'm actually not legal, so I can't do it." So they helped me get my green card, and my work papers, and be able to.
How long from that moment to the actual air time or the show time how much of a gap was there?
I think it was like 3 or 4 months.
Oh, okay. How'd you prepare for it?
Just a 5-minute set. Well, that was the best part about living in New York. I was really good at doing 5-minute sets after a while because you get a lot of 5 and 10 minute sets, and I was really good at doing TV spots. And since I moved out to LA, it's completely different.
So you'd work specifically in just that 5 minutes and bounce to another.
Yeah, I could do showcase sets like back of my hand, 7, just go and crank it out. So
does the network try to get involved in the actual set?
I hate TV sets. They're fucking horrible. Like. TV sets are false advertising. What you see on TV is very minimal of what a comedian really is. You know, there's a couple guys that they're that clean, and they're that vanilla, but I think late night TV is just horrible.
Plus the timing is kind of off because you get like standing ovations.
It's all bullshit. It's just like nobody gets those. Like, and you just see if you watch a comic tell a joke, and wait for it. I'm just like, that never happened at a comedy club. You can't. They know they have to clap for it, so they clap for it, and they wouldn't do that in a comedy club. They'd yell at it. Why are you standing there, you fucking asshole? Tell us the next joke.
Well, how does it work? Do they have to go watch you before you go on the show to determine if the 5 minutes is acceptable?
They pick your material. Like, the guys at the Tonight Show are pretty calm. They see your set and they say, I like that. And Eddie Brill's out of his mind and loves to pick each joke and blah, blah, blah. Which is, I think, is just... I like Eddie, but I think it's just the most retarded thing I've ever heard is somebody creating your set for you. Because then you just sound like them, don't you?
Yeah, especially if they've invited you, you've pretty much earned the right to perform your material. You know, that's what got you in there in the first place.
Well, here's the way I have to look at it. There used to be another lady, Zoe Friedman, that used to book the late night show, Letterman. And when she was there, Dane Cook became a star. Ray Romano got his TV show on Worldwide Pants, and Jim Gaffigan became a star and also got a show through Worldwide Pants. I don't think that's happened since Eddie Brill's been there. So...
Got it. What's been your favorite late night show that you did?
That I did?
Perform on?
I got to do this Man on the Street stuff for Carson Daly, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah.
When you do a late night set like that, do you see...
But I think Craig Ferguson's really funny, and I've done that show, and I think he's really funny.
Do they nitpick a little less? Maybe is that why you like them more? Because they kind of let you do your own thing? Or just the guy himself is...
Depends who's booking it at the time. Bart Coleman was booking Craig Ferguson when I did it. I really like Bart.
Well, there you have it, folks. Episode number 16 is in the books. And if you like what you heard from Ian Bagg, be sure to check him out online, ianbagg.com. Or do what everybody does and just Google his name. Then you can watch him on YouTube. You can get the stuff on Amazon or iTunes. You know how it works, guys. Put his name in and just sit back and have fun for a couple hours. Also, again, I want to apologize for the interview getting cut short. It was going well. He was, telling some good stories, and then just like that, interview over. And if you want to send in complaints, that's fine. Just in the subject line, if you could put attention, crappy batteries. Again, attention, crappy batteries. All right. So on behalf of Ian Bagg, Matthew Baldwin, the Tampa Improv, and the worst batteries of all time, my name is Joe Riga. And until next time, thank you for listening.